Welcome back to Overtime Fantasy, where we go beyond the whistle to bring you home a fantasy championship. I'm Mike Kinder. I'm here with Daniel Hudgens.
And that's it.
Like, I almost just wanted to keep rolling on to that and be like, hey, no, and then.
You paused for a second. I was like, what are you going to do here?
I was waiting on you to pick me up on that one.
Usually I stay kind of quiet, but I gotta pick up Phil and Tyler slack.
Yeah, you definitely have to do that today. So Phil and Tyler are both on scout team today. Get them chopping, take a lap, whatever.
What's it? Up downs? What's the worst like drill?
Oh,
I guess
the
you do in football.
The worst was the worst like kind of punishment type thing that I had.
Yeah.
Other than the one that Phil and I did together, which we'll have to explain another time because it takes 20 minutes just to talk about that one. But my coach made me paint the lines. And basically what you do is you have to drag your hand on the ground and you do a snake pattern all the way down the field. So like every 5 yards, so you go up 5 yards on the out of bounds.
Yeah.
On the and then you go across the 5 yard line.
Yep.
And then all the way up 5 yards and then cross the 10 yard line up, cross 15. It is brutal. That's one of the worst that I've ever had because like your legs start burning at about the 15 yard line, and you're not even a quarter of a way done.
Wait, so you go the whole length?
Yes, you got to go. You got to go the whole 100 yards.
Why?
I think what I did was I either got in a fight at practice or I can't remember what it was exactly. But he was like, "All right, well, you're going to paint the lines today," and I'm like, what's that? And he was like, well, you got to do the serpentine and kind of explain it to me. I was like, whatever, dude. That's easy. Yeah, 15 yards in, I was just like, no, this sucks.
Wow. Wow, that just sounds terrible. Like
it was god awful. Yeah, so maybe that's what we make Tyler and Phil do.
Oh my god. Over under the yardage that Tyler lasts.
Oh, Tyler just says, I'm done. I quit. Like,
would he get to the very first 5 yard or?
No, he wouldn't even attempt. He'd be like, no. I don't know if he could actually bend over and touch the ground.
Oh shit!
I'm just kidding. Sorry, Tyler. I love you.
He's not even going to listen to this. That's just bad.
Yeah, Phil will.
Phil will,
yes, and Tyler will not. But Tyler, we thrashed Tyler.
And he needs to listen to it, too.
He
needs
does.
to listen to this.
He needs the help. All right, so today we have the waiver waiver claims that we're going to put in for the week 4 coming up. Then we're going to talk about streamers in the defense and the quarterback position. Then we are going to go into the overreactions. You have a list of overreactions for? I almost said for us.
Yeah, oh yeah, we got
for me.
For you, yeah.
This is an opinion that only I can.
I guess I can chime in now too. I guess.
Just do your best, Phil impression.
Oh yeah, I'm pumped about that. Yeah.
All right, and also let's not forget about our Sunday takeaways that we want to talk about. The things that we saw that we either liked or disliked in the Sunday matchups. So let's jump right into that and let's talk about what you saw on Sunday that you either liked or disliked.
So I think we got to start with Saquon Barkley getting injured.
Oh man,
it's just a huge blow for anybody that has him, and really it could affect the rest of the Giants players, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're talking about this is a high ankle sprain. The MRI come through. Proved that it was a high ankle sprain. They're saying it could be anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So if he's out for 2 months, and then I think their bye is week 11, I believe.
Yes.
And so that could take him out all the way through week 11. You may not see him till week 12, which is 2 weeks before the playoffs.
Yeah. So this week is really crucial. If you have Saquon Barkley, you have to hit this waiver wire hard. If you have a fab budget, then you have to get somebody to replace Saquon Barkley. You're not going to get the same type of value for him, but you need somebody you can go to, because that leaves a big void in people's lineups.
Here's the thing. there's always somebody out there, and hopefully this is the Saquon Barkley owner, but there's always somebody out there who's got like 4 running backs that are just doing it right now.
Yeah.
And hopefully, like I said, hopefully that's the Saquon Barkley owner. Hopefully they nailed it in every round of the running back picks. But like, that's a possibility of a trade right there. You know, like if you're looking anywhere like what I'm sitting in Brian's league where I'm 0-3, if I'm the Saquon Barkley owner, I'm trading him right now. Like, if I don't trade him, I don't have a hope. I don't have a prayer of making the playoffs.
Yeah.
I need to get rid of him and get maybe 2 running backs that can pick up pick up where he left off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, okay, it's 2 running backs doing the work of 1, but I need something. I'm desperate at that point.
So opposite side, if you're 2-1, 3-0, is he going to be somebody that you target and just, hopefully he can come back earlier than expected and ride him to the playoffs?
Oh yeah, like if I'm 3-0 and I have Saquon Barkley, I'm going to hold on to him, hoping that I catch, a few wins here and there to make it to the playoffs. If I'm the guy without Saquon Barkley and I can afford to give up 2 running backs to stash him on my bench, then yeah, I'm going to gun for him, because what if he does come back in 4 weeks? I only lose 4 weeks and I get Saquon Barkley back? Like, that's insane.
So let me throw a scenario out. What if you're a Saquon Barkley owner and someone offers you someone like a Mark Ingram straight up, would you do that?
I would try to get something else out of that.
Okay.
'Cause Mark Ingram right now is just killing it, man. Mm-hmm. Like, he's doing great. I would hope that the name, the Saquon Barkley name would hold a little more value, but I don't know if you're going to get much more out of that, because that person now has to hold him on his bench for possibly 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Possibly right before playoffs start, which is going to help that person in the playoffs. But up until then, like, they got to roster that empty spot. So Mark Ingram straight up might be a good thing for that person.
Yeah.
Especially, like I said, if you're desperate right now. Like, if you're 1-2 or 0-3, you need to get rid of Saquon Barkley, and a Mark Ingram would be a good addition.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
So, same game, Daniel Jones.
Yes.
Well, so he has a nickname of Danny Dimes. I guess I just found out yesterday. Is that, has he always had that nickname?
I don't know, honestly. I don't know if that's been a nickname that he's always had or not. I don't know that one. Phil would know that one probably.
Yeah, so,
but like, he come from Duke, and I didn't watch a whole lot of Duke football, so
yeah, and look, I know I was dead wrong about him coming out. Like, I just thought he was just too raw to start, and just make an impact first year, but. First game, you're talking 300 plus yards with 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. So he has that ability to. He's not going to be a scrambling rushing quarterback like some of these other guys, but if he can get you those goal line rushing touchdowns, that's just a solid floor in today's fantasy game. So yeah, man, I was really impressed with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, like, he come out and. Like, a lot of people were like, why did they even, wait 2 weeks, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of like a little respect to Eli. That's a little, let's wait a little bit. Like, there's a strategic pattern in waiting a couple weeks before you put your rookie in there. And he come out slinging it, dude. Like, he looked good. He could run. He could pass. He looked really, really good. Let's see if he continues that going forward. He could be a really big add in fantasy football. He could be, he could really be helpful to the New York Giants, who absolutely need this right now.
So Giants players, like, their value has to rise from this, right?
Oh, absolutely, yes. Yes, I think Golden Tate. Well, we'll talk about a lot of these guys, coming into the waivers. Golden Tate, Sterling Shepard, I think they're going to be, probably legit fantasy football, players right now.
Yeah.
I think they'll be legit people on your team.
Yeah, like Evan Ingram was a staple. But yeah, just like you said, like, now I'm looking at Shepard and Tate is somebody that I could start like confidently.
Yes.
I know it's 1 week, so let's not get into like him being just a straight up stud right now.
Yeah,
but
they didn't have film on him, anything like that. They didn't know what to expect when he is a quarterback, so they knew how to game plan for him. But what happens when a team gets out there and figures him out? And they game plan, they figured it out, and all that. So let's give him a few more weeks before we're giving him 100% praises. But he looked damn good yesterday.
Yeah, and I will say this, like Eli Manning, if he was playing yesterday, they would have lost. There's no way that Eli would have put up the points that that they put up yesterday because he's just at that stage of his career. His best days are well behind him.
Yeah. So more on to the rest of the games in the NFL. Well, sticking with that game, freaking Mike Evans just ruined my fantasy hopes and dreams yesterday.
That was a much needed performance for his value because he had 2 very quiet weeks to start the year, and Chris Godwin, he came out guns. Well, the first week he had a touchdown, but week 2, man, he was getting heavily targeted. He had over 100 yards. The talks were, and I was on that train. Like Chris Godwin might have taken over that number 1 role, but Mike Evans made a statement.
You actually traded away Chris Godwin in the league, and you're like, man, I don't know why I did that. Like he's going to be the man now, and then all of a sudden Mike Evans comes out and has 3 touchdowns and 6,000 yards, and it was just. For those of you that don't know, Dan beat me in Brian's league, and you beat me by 8 points?
Yeah, we both just snapped this week.
It was ridiculous. Both of our teams went completely off. I was the second or third highest scoring team in the league, and I lose because I play the highest scoring team in the league, and that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I hate that feeling so much because usually when your team goes off like that, unless your team is just completely stacked from top to bottom, your team's not going to perform like that every week.
Yeah.
So when you have weeks like this, like you gotta get the victory.
Yeah,
because,
you got to.
Next week, who knows what could happen. But another game. Let's talk about the Browns. Right? You stayed up late last night.
Yeah.
Just give me your thoughts on what you see out of the Browns.
It's just typical Browns stuff, man. Like it is just they beat themselves, and there's been multiple times. Like unless you watch the game, you're not going to see that they beat themselves. Like, but they're 3rd and short, and then all of a sudden you got an offensive lineman that doesn't know the snap count, and he jumps, and now you're 3rd and long. Like third and short compared to 3rd and long is 2 totally different playbooks, And then they're constantly giving first downs to the other team because of just dumb penalties. Like it is just dumb penalties in my opinion. They have to clean up everything from top to bottom. They have to clean it all up before they go out there and say, "Oh, we look great on paper. We should be able to put that on the field." So they have a lot to clean up. They have a lot to fix. Baker Mayfield is just running for his life. That offensive line has got to get their act together.
Yeah.
I think
to be fair, Aaron Donald dominated last night. He was just a.
To be fair, Aaron Donald dominates. Like it doesn't matter what night. If it's a night that he's on the field, he's dominating.
Yeah. So man, like I looked at the stats, man. They didn't even get 300 yards of total offense. This team just has so much talent for them to just sputter like that. You know what I mean?
I like because there was nothing that you can get down the field plays. Like they were just talking about it. The announcers were talking about it the whole time. Anytime that Baker Mayfield gets the ball out in 2.5 seconds or less, it's a successful play almost 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Anytime that he holds it longer than 2.5 seconds, I think at one point he was like 1-12 or something like that. Like he doesn't complete the ball down the field because he's scrambling, he's throwing the ball on the run. Like people are, the defenders are getting time to get back into coverage and everything. It's just, Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback. He's got some stuff to clean up as well.
Yeah. I'll tell you another performance. I'll briefly talk about this, but
and here's just another little added. The Rams, the Browns defense was decimated last night before the game even started.
Yes.
Like Denzel Ward was out, Greedy Williams was out,
yeah.
Christian Kirksey was out. And so for them to go out there and not be able to score on almost any possession they have was one, impressive on the Browns' secondary defense, like that makeshift defense that they had, and two, like I don't know if I would be happy with my performance if I were the Rams in that situation.
Yeah, looking at Jared Goff's home road splits, it's almost like Big Ben-esque.
Oh, really?
Because at home he is just it's night and day.
Yeah.
And it's a good sample size too.
Yeah.
I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I mean you're talking like QB rating of like a 30-point difference from
Wow.
on the road. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
One performance I do want to talk about. I know we talked about Mike Evans blowing up, but Keenan Allen, I felt like he had like. It's crazy that Mike Evans had more yards than Keenan Allen because I felt like Keenan Allen was just like every play
Catching
was
every single ball.
Yeah, he went for 180 and 2 touchdowns. So
Yeah, wow, yeah.
I mean, yeah, that got overshadowed by Mike Evans.
Yeah.
I think he went 190 and 3. So yeah, Keenan, you gotta
keep
step
rubbing
up,
it
man.
in. Keep rubbing it in. Thanks, buddy.
My bad.
The Steelers, just on another note with them, they're 0-3 now. Like Mason Rudolph didn't look awful, but like he just, I don't know, that whole organization right now just seems like they're falling apart. They have played 3 tough teams. I don't know. I don't know what to think with Mason Rudolph. Like he's definitely not Daniel Jones. He looked okay at sometimes, but he just didn't have it like 100% of the game.
Yeah, the takeaway with the Steelers is that will James Conner and Juju Smith-Schuster regain their value that they had before Big Ben got hurt?
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking James Conner was first round pick.
Yeah.
Whether he was kind of overranked or not, he was a first, late second.
Yeah. No, he was
first.
Real early second. If you were lucky enough to do that.
And then Juju was about the mid second that he was going off the board.
Yep.
So you're looking at them and.
Now Juju had a decent game. He put up 16 points.
Now he had
and
that
was
one long
touchdown that really, so like that, without you take that touchdown away, he had a pretty terrible game.
Yeah, so I got mixed feelings when it comes to like stats like that.
Yes, I agree. That's what I wanted to talk about was how he looked. Like if you just look at it after the game and you're like, oh, okay, he had 16 points. He had a really good game. Well, you take that one play away. If you're able to take just one play away and like take 90% of their points off the board, then it's not that good of a game.
Yeah, because the stats count at the end of the day. But I look at his targets. He only had 7 targets.
Yeah,
and I think the reason why he was going so early in the draft was because Antonio Brown was vacating 160, 170 targets.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, Juju was already heavily targeted. He's going to get this volume guaranteed. 7 targets is, look, it's solid, but not for a second round, potential wide receiver 1 solid.
Yeah, yep. So, that's, the take on Juju. Hopefully they can kind of get a little, because that's a lot of fantasy value that people put into that draft with Connor and Juju to kind of get nothing in return so far. So hopefully, awesome. I did start Juju and he did get me 16 points. I'm very thankful for that. But, hopefully he can step it up and they can kind of get a connection and he can catch more balls in that system.
Yeah, I think he'll pick it up, but he would be on a short lease for me.
Yeah.
He would be on a short lease. I think it's a type of like situation where I would almost have to like watch him and watch how the Steelers play.
Yeah.
And, because stat lines can be deceiving.
And this is coming from you, who was just this huge Juju, like, you had all the love in the world for Juju, man, and, like, you were trying to get him off of me before the season even started.
Yeah.
And then now it's at the point where, like, I don't know if you'd take him from me. So
I don't want to rub it in again, but I did offer Mike Evans straight up.
You did. Oh, God, I hate you. You did, and I almost took that. I almost took Mike Evans straight up for Juju that week.
I wouldn't even hesitated either. I was like, just tell me when, and I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. So moving on. Let's that's enough of talk about what happened in the past. Let's go ahead and talk about the future here. Week 4 waiver wire. We have to start at the quarterback position. Most weeks we're going to have nothing here, but we got something here for the waiver wire position in the quarterback position.
Yeah. Daniel Jones, I think, depending on your quarterback situation, I think he is worth a waiver ad, in my opinion, because he's shown the ability to run the ball. And I'm telling you, your first game, you get 2 rushing touchdowns. He's not going to do that every game, but if that floor is there for him to get rushing touchdowns, especially with Saquon Barkley out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, I would rather have him over Baker Mayfield right now. Is that a fair statement?
I'd rather with the game that he put up. I'd rather have him over Aaron Rodgers, over Matt Ryan, over a lot of people. Like I would rather have Daniel Jones over a lot of people. Like not realistically, no. I would rather have Aaron Rodgers. But like if he continues to do this, he put up 44 points in our league.
Yeah, and
like that's massive, man. Like Aaron Rodgers, just to kind of, for the people that don't have our scoring system, Aaron Rodgers put up 19 and Matt Ryan put up 31. Yeah, Daniel Jones put up 44 points.
Yeah, it's a quarterback friendly scoring, and even in just a regular standard league, he was in the mid 30. I think he was like 34 or 35 points.
Yeah.
He just looked good, and look, the Buccaneers are. They say that there was an improved defense, yada, yada. They play a hurt Cam Newton, and they play the 49ers week 1, who had 5 turnovers against the Steelers yesterday.
Yeah.
So, were they improved, or did they just kind of get, lucky playing a turnover-prone team and a hurt quarterback?
Yeah.
But next week they play the Redskins, my Washington Redskins, who are badly, man down on defense. So the potential is there for him to have another blow up game. Yeah,
absolutely. So I'd put on a waiver claim for Daniel Jones, especially if you are the Ben Roethlisberger owner, the Cam Newton owner, Drew Brees owner. If you're one of them, I would definitely put in a claim for Daniel Jones.
Would you drop Drew Brees for Daniel Jones?
No. No, I can't drop Drew Brees, with him possibly coming back. I couldn't do it.
Would you drop not Daniel Jones. Would you drop Cam Newton for Daniel Jones?
I would drop him before I drop Brees, probably.
Yeah.
Even though Cam Newton is probably going to play week 5.
Yeah.
They're already saying he's out week 4, but he's probably going to play week 5. But, I would rather have Daniel Jones than Cam Newton right now.
Yeah.
Cam Newton has looked terrible.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think 2 weeks rest on that foot is going to help anything.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't even think Cam Newton is worth rostering right now, in my opinion. Because what made him so great was his rushing ability. And if he is not going to run the ball, he's just an average quarterback. So, Daniel Jones is probably the only quarterback that is worth a waiver. And honestly, he is probably, if you want Daniel Jones, you could probably have to use a waiver to get him.
Yeah, I would definitely, like I said, if you're one of those quarterback owners that went down or you're just desperate, your quarterback is not paying out the way you want it to be, I would definitely put in a claim for Daniel Jones. Moving on to running back, we talked about Saquon Barkley going down. Well, is this your number one? If you're a Saquon Barkley owner, this is probably your number one pickup, Wayne Gallman.
Yeah.
But if you're not the Saquon Barkley owner, is this still your number one pickup with Wayne Gallman?
It would depend on the construction of my team. If I have a team where I need a starting running back, whether it be my second or somebody to put in the flex, I think I would put Gallman at 1. Just looking at his career, it's nothing special. Like he only has 2 career rushing touchdowns, so expecting him to just come in and produce like RB1 or even RB2 value is it's a lot to ask for someone like him.
When did Saquon Barkley finally go out?
Saquon Barkley was hurt. I believe it was in the second half, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think because he got hurt in the first half. He got hurt early.
Yeah, he got hit. It was a hard hit to the helmet.
Yeah, then he went back in.
Yeah, he went back in. That was the first scare, and then it was a tackle where it kind of rolled up on his ankle, and then he just immediately. I mean, you could just tell like the way he walked. It was a heavy limp on that on that ankle.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Wayne Gallman.
So rushing wise, Wayne Gallman was 5 rushes for 13 yards.
Yeah, and look, and the Buccaneers, they are a little bit better with their run defense, but what's his ceiling? What is Wayne Gallman's ceiling compared to my number 2 running back, which is Darrell Williams for the Chiefs?
Yeah,
where you look at Darrell Williams and he was the starter over Shady McCoy. I know Shady still got work, but he started off the game as the starting running back.
Yeah, that's what they said. And that's what I had McCoy in my lineup. And they come out and said Darrell Williams was going to be the starting running back. So, like, I was like, holy crap. Like, so this ankle issue with Shady must be something more than what we realize. And so I go in and I take Shady out, and he's in there in the first drive running the ball. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, they could have been more specific with that news that come out 5 minutes before the game started.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, you have the 6th-round rookie in Darwin Thompson. You have Darrell Williams. In Kansas City, it's pretty much the hot hand approach. Like, whoever is producing is going to get the touches. And look, you had Damian Williams to start. You had Shady. Like, when these guys come back, there's no really guarantee if Darrell Williams is going to even be relevant. He really has to produce in order to maintain that value. But let's say, for example, if Damian Williams is out an extended period of time, or if Shady McCoy is out an extended period of time, or Darrell Williams just comes out and just dominates.
Yeah.
If I have my team to where I have 3 solid running backs, I'm going to target Darrell Williams just for that upside, because Wayne Gallman is not going to have that upside that Darrell Williams has.
I agree. And I go in to look at Darrell Williams and see, what he did, how many points he got, and all that. And he got picked up by Brian, I'm assuming right before the game started. I think Brian must have just went in and put snatched him up so he'd have him before the waivers cleared. That sneaky little dirt.
Yeah, that's a good pick on me. I know he had to have saw the note that he was starting.
That was solid on Brian's part there. That's some sneaky stuff there. Yeah. And that was all against Baltimore's big time defense too.
Yeah, for sure.
So he had 11 points. He was almost 50-50 in like the rushing and the passing in the receiving game. So like he's a every down back. He could be an every down back, So
who would you target, Gallman or Williams?
It all depends. Like, if you're the Barkley owner, you're probably going to go for Gallman.
Yeah.
But I don't like Williams for the fact of when Damian Williams comes back, he's probably going to be irrelevant again.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't like Williams. So maybe Gallman for me.
Yep, I got you. So the next running back, he's still out there. I think he was owned in about 35 to 37% of leagues, and that's Ronald Jones. This is like week 1 was Ronald Jones, week 2 Peyton Barber. Now
Back to Ronald Jones.
They're flip flopping. Yeah, and I'm telling you, man, Ronald Jones, like, he really he looks good, and he just needs to get that consistent workload for you to have confidence in not only just picking him up but actually playing him.
So quick shout out to Tyler and Phil, who both were on the Ronald Jones train, and I told them I preferred Peyton Barber. So you guys got me on that one, and I was willing to bet Tyler, and he backed out, and he could have won that bet for sure.
Yeah, the only reason why I would lean Ronald Jones is that
he's just more talented.
Yeah, talented. He's just upside wise, because when would I play Peyton Barber? Like, I would have to be hurt at running back, or injuries would have to come for me to come around and play Peyton Barber. Because really, I really don't want to play any of these running backs. But maybe Ronald Jones can get a consistent workload, and maybe he can, be a potential flex play in the future.
All right, so moving on, talking about Jamal Williams, who's only owned in 9% of leagues, has had 2 solid weeks back to back.
Yeah.
A 10-point game and an 8-point game, which, 8 points isn't anything to be too excited about, but once injuries happens, and guess what? We're in week 4. That's when the bye weeks start happening. 8 points might be a solid running back spot there.
It's crazy that Aaron Jones goes for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns the week before, and the coach comes out and says, "You know what? Let's give Jamal Williams more touches this week." And I mean, I've seen both running backs. I think Aaron Jones is a far better talent. But I've been saying this, all off season, that Jamal Williams is if he gets the work in Green Bay, he's going to be a running back, a top 12 running back. So
yeah, I think they're both very talented. I think they're both really good. If anything ever happened to Aaron Jones, Jamal Williams would be
exactly
it's not like a Saquon Barkley to Wayne Gallman difference.
Yeah.
This is a all right. I have to pick this guy up, no matter what team you have or whatever. You have to pick up somebody like that.
Yeah, and he's going to be a league winner, because a couple years ago when I can't remember who was the starting running backs for the Packers, but Jamal Williams had like a 7-week stretch where he was like the number 6 running back. So he has shown that ability to just carry a team.
You're talking about back when who was the guy that gained a lot of weight and all that, and
you're not talking about Eddie Lacy.
Yeah. Was it after Eddie Lacy, or?
I think it was. It was.
I can't believe. See, that's why I'm no good at fantasy stuff of the past. It's because I can't even remember Eddie Lacy's name, and that was only 3 years ago. Yeah, maybe 2 years ago.
Well, he went to Seattle. I think he went to Seattle, and then I think they cut him because he was just so fat. He was like, we don't want a lineman being a running back.
All right, so moving on. Just, after waivers clear, Alexander Madison might be somebody to pick up. He's actually getting some carries and stuff while Dalvin Cook is there, which is kind of surprising to me, but if anything ever happened to Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison is going to fill in and be Dalvin Cook 2.0.
Yep.
He's going to be great. So you might want to – that's the kind of guy that I would kind of want to jump on before an injury happened.
Yep.
That way you can guarantee that he's on your team.
If you have Dalvin Cook, you need Madison on your team, because the way the Vikings – the way they play football now, they do not want Kirk Cousins to throw the ball at all. And just like you said, Madison's getting work, and – before the season started, we had the preview of the Vikings, and we mentioned that Dalvin Cook has gotten hurt pretty much every single year dating back to middle school, probably, right?
Yeah.
So if you have Dalvin Cook, you need Madison on your team. If you don't have Dalvin Cook, and if you have a roster spot to put someone like Madison up there, I mean, yeah, go for it. I mean, I would probably put the 4 we mentioned before him. Yes. But, yeah, he is definitely – he's worth rostering.
Now, believe it or not, I looked it up in Brian's league, and every single one of these guys is owned except for Wayne Gallman. He's the only one that's not already owned. 9% of leagues is what Jamal Williams is owned in, and he's picked up and already owned in our league.
Yeah.
It's insane, man. So let's move on to these wide receivers. Once again, these guys are all owned in our league pretty much.
Yep, for sure.
But let's start with DJ Chark. That guy is just a monster, man. He is the guy to own. He's somebody you can pick up and start week in and week out for sure.
Yeah.
And he's still available in 50% of leagues pretty much, right?
Yeah, I believe according to the Yahoo Fantasy Sports app, he's only owned in 40% of leagues.
Yeah.
Which is, look, I kind of get it, because it's the Jaguars. You got Gardner Minshew, the backup quarterback. The hype around Gardner Minshew is real. But were people buying into the hype when Nick Foles got hurt?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, but I mean, you're talking a touchdown in 3 straight games, and definitely one of the...
All right, so let's stop talking about it. If DJ Chark is out there, put a waiver claim in for him and pick him up if you're listening to this.
Yes.
We don't need to talk about him anymore. He's somebody to be owned and start, like I said, he can almost start week in and week out for your team.
Yep.
So let's go on to the next one that you actually brought up that might not be on people's radar, might be, a forgotten player.
Yeah, that's Golden Tate. So I think he is owned in about 37% of leagues. He is coming back from suspension, and just like we talked about with Daniel Jones, like he is going to raise the value of all these guys. And I mean, look, he is going to get those slot targets, and is he going to be someone to start right away? Probably not.
But you can definitely see what he's going to do, and maybe put him in your lineup the following week or something.
Yeah,
but he's going to be somebody to really help Daniel Jones out as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking a couple years ago with Matt Stafford, and he was like a consistent top 20 receiver.
Oh yeah,
week in and week out. I mean, he just had a solid floor, and he'd explode for those big games from time to time.
Yeah. So on to kind of the big news over the weekend / people getting hurt. Philip Dorsett, how do you feel? Would you pick him up?
I would definitely look at Philip Dorsett because I think he's going to return value right away. I know Edelman had a rib injury, I believe. I think did Josh Gordon get hurt? I couldn't remember.
He hurt himself, but I don't think
it's that serious.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to miss anything.
Yeah, so the opportunity is there for Dorsett, and look, when he gets that opportunity. I mean, week 1 he caught a touchdown. Week 2 was an afterthought because they had AB, produced again. And these are games where they're, 15, 20-point favorites, and he's scoring touchdowns. So you would think when they get into those games where the games will be a little bit closer. They got the Browns later down the road, and they got the Chiefs. These games where potential high scoring. I mean, Dorsett, I think he can be a weekly flex play.
Yeah. Now, before Antonio Brown got in there, week 1, he had 2 deep balls thrown to him for 2 deep touchdowns. I think he's somebody that, as long as Antonio Brown's not there, I think he's somebody that can catch some deep balls and everything. I think he can be a very good, definitely in DFS. But in season long fantasy, I think he's somebody good to own. I'm definitely going to put a claim in for him. Last 2 we want to talk about is Deebo Samuel and Paris Campbell. Deebo Samuel just seems to be catching everything. There for a while, he seemed to be the guy in San Francisco.
Yeah, Dante Pettis actually caught a late touchdown to put the 49ers ahead. I still think Deebo Samuel is the receiver to own in San Francisco. My only concern is that Jimmy Garoppolo, he hasn't looked good. And honestly, the 49er offense really hasn't looked good as a whole because they're just making so many mistakes. And if they do that against your better teams, I mean, you're going to have to play the Rams, you have to play the Seahawks. You turn the ball over like that, I mean, they're just going to... They're going to eat the clock up on you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to the last guy, Paris Campbell, who had a touchdown 2 weeks ago. Well, in week 2, he had a touchdown. And he didn't do much this past week, but we're talking about him. And he's probably somebody that you can wait and pick up off a free agency, maybe not put a claim in for. But he is relevant in the waiver talk because of the injury to T.Y. Hilton, which hasn't officially come out if he's going to miss time or not, but I did read something today that said that it's a significant quad injury and he could miss some time for it.
Yeah, so Paris Campbell, I believe he ran as the third wide receiver. You had T.Y. Hilton and Deion Kane, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this about Paris Campbell, but he's bigger than T.Y. Hilton and he's faster than T.Y. Hilton.
Oh, Paris Campbell is a monster, dude. I hope that he can really have a chance to shine in the NFL because he did so well in college, man. And so hopefully he does have some of that transfer over to the NFL.
Yeah. So one thing about Paris Campbell, it's almost the same as Deebo Samuel. It's can Jacoby Brissett, can he support just having a week in and week out starter? Look, you got T.Y. Hilton, but T.Y. Hilton, he's an established wide receiver. And Paris Campbell, as talented as he is, he's not. So it's an ad where you pick him up, you wait to see what plays out. I wouldn't pick him up and look to start him right away, even though they're going to have some good matchups coming up.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to the tight ends. Will Dissly is somebody that you're definitely, if you're hurting at tight end, you're definitely going to want to put a claim in for Will Dissly. He gets target often. He's not only getting a touchdown, in 5 yards. He's also getting some yardage behind all that. He's somebody that's targeted. Will Dissly is a guy that I want to own in every league if I can, as long as I don't have those top 6 to 7 guys.
So I was in a league where I had David Njoku as my tight end, and it was just a blessing in disguise when he got hurt. I mean, prayers to Njoku. I'm sorry that you got hurt and you're out for the year.
Yeah,
but he got hurt. He was out for the year. I'm scrambling at tight end, and this I picked up Will Dissly. I think it was either Friday or Saturday, and I did not feel good about it because what's his reputation? What's his career like? I mean, he's played how many career games, and the track record wasn't there for Will Dissly for me to feel confident about him. But I mean, if you go back to last year, the games he played, he caught a touchdown pretty much in almost every game.
Yeah, he
has 3 touchdowns this year.
Yep.
I think he's here to stay. In my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm on board. I actually have him in Brian's league.
I know he caught that last touchdown, man. That was that last second.
That was
touchdown.
Another thing that I was like, give me a little bit of hope. Maybe that'll put me ahead. Nope, didn't put me ahead. Oh, Deshaun Watson hurt me too. God. And you were crying about Deshaun. Oh, he's got -2 points.
I know. Yeah.
I was like, you think Deshaun Watson's going to stick around with -2 points? You better get out of here.
I did that. Shout out to Scrolls. I think it was last week where
Scroll.
When the Chiefs were playing the Raiders, like, damn, the Raiders are looking good, man. They're about to shut out Mahomes. Like, dude, no, they're not.
Yeah, right. All right, so another guy that is just kind of come out of nowhere right now is Dawson Knox, man. Like, he's the tight end for the Bills, and he is a man. Like, he was stiff-arming, running people over, trying to get those out. He was doing his best Vance McDonald impression from last year, and he did a very good job of it. Every time he caught the ball, like, he was running full speed, ready to run people over, man.
Yeah.
I really like Dawson Knox. He's somebody that in a couple of leagues I'm going to be targeting to probably, fill my roster spot.
Yeah, you showed me that one highlight.
Yeah.
That one where he stiff-armed a guy, and then, like, he went to just truck the guy. Like, he fully intended, like, he waited for that guy to get in front of him and lowered his shoulder.
Stepped on one guy, trucked another guy, stepped over that guy, kept going, and then finally got tackled like 12 yards later.
And then you told me that wasn't even his best run. So
no, that was his best run. That just wasn't his best, like, truck.
Oh, okay.
Like, the one that he trucked the guy on, I don't even know if he got any yardage out of it, but good night, dude. Like, the guy was just, like, holding on for dear life. It was awesome. So Dawson Knox, like, I just want to own him just so I have him.
That's a pretty, sick name, too.
That is a pretty sick name. I like that. Another tight end that maybe not a waiver claim this week, but he's probably going to be a waiver claim next week is Chris Herndon for the Jets. He's definitely going to come out and be the starting tight end once he finishes his suspension. He's somebody to kind of look at once free agency clears. I mean, once waiver wires clear, pick him up off of free agency this week. He's somebody that is going to do big things once he actually gets to play.
Yeah. Depending on how your team's set up, look, they're going to have the bye week 4. Week 5, he's going to be suspended, so he'll be back week 6. It's also going to come down to will Sam Darnold be back by then?
Yeah, he'll be back by then.
Yeah, the hope is that he will, and if he is, then that definitely raises his value. If Luke Falk is still starting, you obviously do not want to play Chris Herndon, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth a roster spot, though.
Yeah.
But trotting him out as your starting tight end that's very risky.
Yeah, I agree. So let's move on to these streamers. We'll just breeze right through them real fast. Talk about the streamers in the quarterback position and in the defense position. So, of course, we got Daniel Jones under a streamer, but, he may not be a streamer for long. He may be your week in and week out starter. He's playing Washington, so that's why we got him as a streamer this week. Matt Stafford's playing Kansas City. You got Case Keenum playing the Giants next week, and then Jacoby Brissett playing Oakland. So we think all four of those guys, Daniel Jones, Matt Stafford, Case Keenum, and Jacoby Brissett, are real decent starts this week going into week 4, especially if your quarterback's on a bye, which now we got to start talking about buys because it's week 4 and that's just what happens.
Yeah.
So if your quarterback's on a bye or you got one of your injured quarterbacks or you're just a guy that's streaming, those are the 4 guys that we're talking about right now. And defenses to talk about to stream defense is, you got the Colts playing Oakland, you got Steelers playing Cincinnati, and then just like the late, like if you have to have somebody, would be Denver playing the Jags. And it's no one we're excited about because Denver hasn't been a solid defense this year, and the Jags they've looked okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And then also, like, if you have the Chargers, if the Chargers are somewhat weirdly out there, pick them up and start them.
Yeah.
Because they're playing, who are they playing? Why did we blank?
That one team that's
Miami. Miami. That was not a dig to you, Brian. I literally blanked on that one.
I thought you were gonna go. I thought you were.
I couldn't remember who they were playing there for a second. And then you started to say.
So real quick, let me just bring up the Broncos defense. They're one of the worst defenses in fantasy right now. They only have like 1 point all year.
Yeah.
Look, they have no sacks. They have no interceptions. They have no turnovers. It's pretty much. I'm saying, will that trend continue? Will they still go without sacks and turnovers? They got Von Miller.
Yeah.
Like to think you have Von Miller and have no sacks
right.
is crazy with a defensive minded head coach. So the only reason we mention them is that maybe they're just due to have a couple sacks and turnovers, and it's a late flyer.
Points.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all we have for the waivers and the streams. What do you have for your overreactions here, Dan?
All right, let's start with quarterbacks. You got Aaron Rodgers. Right now, he is outside your top 20 quarterbacks. All right, okay. So last week I said that he's not going to be top 10. I think you said that was an overreaction. So now I'm going to say he's not going to be top 12 this year.
Once again, I'm gonna say overreaction, man. I'm still gonna say overreaction. It literally just come out that he is not happy with the amount of targets Devontae Adams, Jimmy Graham are getting. Like he's gonna come out next week and he's gonna prove this coming week is gonna be the time where he proves the kind of quarterback that he should be.
Yeah, they have the Thursday night game against the Eagles. So it's a short week, but it's definitely a matchup. You had Stafford that had a solid game against.
Yes.
Yardage wise, probably not, but it's a defense you can exploit.
Yeah. I think Aaron Rodgers this week. I think he has one of the best games of the season.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna mention this.
It's time for him to turn it around. Let's put it that way. If he doesn't turn around and he doesn't have a good game this week, I'm thinking about just completely dropping him.
I was about to ask you that. I said, when would it be time to drop Aaron Rodgers? Is this the make or break?
This is the make or break.
Okay.
Well, I'm not going to drop him, but this is the make or break for me.
I got you.
Absolutely.
All right. This is for Tyler if he listens. So before the season started, he said Jacoby Brissett would be a top 15 quarterback.
He did? Yep.
He did. So he's 14 right now. He's quarterback 14. So he will be a top 15 quarterback this year.
I won't say that's an overreaction, but he's about to struggle because he's going to have T.Y. out. If T.Y. misses any time, he's going to have a struggle on his hands.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to drop him some.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
But I could definitely see top 15 now, man. He's made a believer out of me. He's been doing good every week in, week out. And like Tyler has said, he's not going to be this stunning quarterback that, oh my gosh, he put up 50 points. But he's also not going to be the quarterback that only gets you 10 points.
Yep.
But I think he's going to have a bit of a struggle with T.Y. being out, if T.Y. is out.
Yeah.
And, I think that's going to change things up for him a little bit.
Yeah, you got Rodgers struggling. You got Baker Mayfield struggling. You kind of have Jared Goff struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
As far as, fantasy production. So
yeah, these guys are definitely going to – I don't know about Baker, but the rest of these guys are definitely going to pick it up and get their stuff together and start moving in the positive direction.
Okay. All right. Daniel Jones will be a top 12 quarterback rest of the season.
Rest of the season? Like,
Yeah.
So are we talking at the end of the season he's going to be a top 12 quarterback, or are we talking from week 3 on?
Week 3 on.
Week 3 on, top 12 quarterback. Give me another week. I can't.
Okay.
I can't say right now. Like, that could have been a one-off. Like,
Yeah.
He's from what I saw, he can definitely be a top 12 quarterback.
Okay. Yeah.
But give me one more week just to see if he actually can do that.
Okay. One more quarterback. So you got Kyle Allen and Gardner Minshew. So they're both can be stream worthy from here on out.
Well, Kyle Allen, he's maybe got one more week, right? I mean,
Yeah. Well, look. I mean, could there be a controversy in Carolina?
No.
I mean, you're talking Cam Newton. He hasn't even thrown a touchdown pass this year.
yeah, but they're not going to do that. Like once Cam is ready, they're going to let Cam have the reins again.
Okay.
Like that's just the way it's going to be. But Kyle Allen looked good. Like he looked solid, man. Like what did he end up? What was the stats this week?
He had 260 and 4 touchdowns.
Dang, man. For
I mean,
real.
look, yeah, like the Panthers have weapons, and I've been saying this. Like this is Cam Newton's like best like supporting cast he's probably had in Carolina. If you go back, if he had Steve Smith and no one else,
Yeah.
and a young
Yeah.
Greg Olsen, then Steve Smith left, and then Greg Olsen kind of emerged, and then you had like a Kelvin Benjamin, Devin Funchess combo. You got DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, McCaffrey, Olsen. The weapons are there. So
Yeah.
all right.
He and definitely with Minshew, I think he's a definite streamable option. Like if your quarterback's on bye and stuff like that, yeah.
Okay. All right, running backs. So I don't know if you know this, but Sony Michel, he only played 17 snaps in a game where they were up by 30.
Yeah.
Sony Michel will lose the starting job this year.
I don't think it's a reaction.
I don't
What has
think
Sonny
so
Michel
either.
done this year? He did get a touchdown this week, right? Like he had a
Yes. Yeah.
he had a decent week this week, right?
No, he only had like
Just that one touchdown, really.
one touchdown and then like less than 20 yards.
Yeah, I can see him lose that, like especially with James White coming, like, and that's with James White out,
That's
because James White was having a baby, like
yeah.
James White didn't even play in that game, and that's all he had, like.
He barely has over 100 yards rushing, and the point differential is like 100 and 16 to 10.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
the
I
game
can
script.
see-
Game script says that he should be running the ball a lot more.
absolutely.
but it's
But
not
they just
happening.
don't. They don't do that though, man. Like the Patriots is that team that will. Oh, we're up 30 something. Like, oh, there's another passing touchdown.
Yeah.
And like them and when Peyton Manning was the quarterback there in Denver, like they were another team like that. Like those passing predominant teams, that's just what they do, man. That's all they do is pass the ball.
All right. Let's see next. So this is kind of crazy. So you have James Conner and Todd Gurley both outside of the top 25 running backs. Neither will finish in the top 15.
Oh,
So pretty much neither will pick the pace up.
I think what we're seeing with Todd Gurley is what we're seeing with Todd Gurley. Like,
Yeah.
I think Todd Gurley, what you see is what you get with Todd Gurley.
Okay.
Connor, he's just not looking good right now. I think he could possibly pick it up, but I don't think it's an overreaction. But I do see Connor possibly picking it up.
I think so too. I think if I'm a Todd Gurley owner, and I do have Todd Gurley in a few leagues, I guess I have to. I don't know, man. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy to think that you have Todd Gurley and you could consider benching him. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy to think
Yeah.
that.
And that'd be tough.
All right, let's move to receiver. So look, Cooper Kupp, he's the number 6 receiver right now. So
Now, okay, yeah, keep going. Sorry.
So he's number 6. And this is like half point PPR, a standard
Okay.
half point PPR league. Okay, so I'm gonna spout off a few names, and you tell me if he's more valuable than that receiver or not.
Okay.
Okay, so Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, he's more valuable than Juju.
Okay, Devontae Adams.
No, Devontae Adams gonna turn it around. Trust
Okay,
me.
Michael Thomas.
No.
Okay.
No, they're hold on. Now, are you talking about like right now, or are you just saying going forward?
Would you, if you had Michael Thomas, would you trade him for Cooper Kupp?
No.
Okay.
No.
Odell Beckham.
Yeah. I'd rather have Cooper Kupp than Odell Beckham right now.
Man, that's crazy to think that, man.
Right? It is.
Like, Cooper Kupp was the third Rams receiver off the board. And he is, I think he's the most valuable receiver by far on that team. I know he's had very good weeks, but Cooper Kupp is, I mean, he's
Cooper Kupp's the guy that's going to get the catches. Like, he's going to get targeted 15 times in a game, where Brandon Cooks is going to get 2 touchdowns and only be targeted 5 times.
Okay. How many more? You want 2 more?
Yeah, let's do 2 more.
Okay, let's see. All right, I got to mention Stephon Diggs because, I mean, he's barely averaging 30 yards receiving a game.
Oh, my.
I mean, he's right over 100 yards through 3 weeks. It's time to panic with Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
I think so, too.
I'm on board with that. I think Kirk Cousins is just garbage. Straight hot trash, bro.
Dude,
Straight hot trash.
Look, I've been telling people this, like in Washington, like he would destroy the bad teams, and then when the good teams would come to town, he couldn't produce against bad teams. But now the Vikings, they want to run the ball. Like, that is their MO.
That is.
So they're pretty much taking the game out of Kirk Cousins' hands, and
which is smart.
It is. Yeah.
Here's the thing, man. Like, I was legit mad when Kirk Cousins got paid. Like, I was just like,
I was happy.
Got to be kidding. Well, of course. But, like, I was like, you got to be kidding me. This guy does not deserve that much money.
Yeah.
Like, he is average at best. And that's what I truly believe. He is average at best.
Yeah, so, we're on the same page there. All right, so I'm gonna do one tight end. Look, O.J. Howard. All right, where do you think O.J. Howard is right now as far as your tight end rankings? I'm gonna give you 2. I'll give you 2 guesses.
25.
No.
Lower? 35.
Not that low. He's 27.
Dang,
right,
dude.
27. So, I mean, 2 things. Is it time to panic with O.J. Howard?
What did he end up scoring this past week?
He had 3 receptions for about 66 yards.
Yeah, I knew he had some decent yardage. So he had basically 6.6 points.
Yep.
All right, so
non-PPR, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's time to panic. I think because last week they said, what's going on with O.J. Howard, and they said the balls will come his way, like it's going to happen. I think 66 yards for a tight end is decent. That's okay. And if he didn't have that this week, if he'd have had a week like he had the week before with a goose egg, he'd even be lower on the list. I think that 6.6 jumped him. I would love to see what he was before that. Yeah, because I'm sure he was down in the 40s.
Yeah, he was for sure.
And so if he gets 6 points a game as a tight end, you're top 15.
Yeah. So my second question: if you would have said yes, it's time to panic, I would have asked, is it safe to drop him?
No,
but
no.
I'm on the same train as you. Look, I mean, think about something like T.J. Hawkinson. They had that dominant week 1, last week 1 catch, this week 1 catch. So what are people feeling about T.J. Hawkinson?
Right, yeah.
Are they still going to hold on to that week 1 performance, or are we going to come to the reality?
He's still got a little bit of value.
Yeah.
That just kind of reminds me of those game shows where you got the briefcase, and then once you start crossing off the big, your price goes if you got your big numbers still up there, your price goes up with each round when you're talking to the banker. And so, right now, his price is just getting slashed every week. He only has a couple points every week. His value is starting to get slashed down.
Yeah.
And if he has another week where he doesn't do much, I can see people start dropping him.
Yeah, and they have the matchup next week against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs, they do not cover tight ends well at all.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
This is a
juicy.
It's a spot where you start him, and I think you can start him confidently.
Yeah, I agree. Well, all right. So that's all that we have with the overreactions. That's all that we have for the whole podcast. So I think I think with just 2 of us, that was a solid podcast, man. I think we held that down pretty good.
I think we're probably over an hour, but it felt like we're
right at an hour, 59 minutes, 15 seconds.
We planned that perfectly.
So we appreciate everybody that's listened this far. Thank you so much. Tune in on Friday when we release our start sits. Tune in again on Sunday when we do our Facebook Live. Pay attention to all that. Join in, ask all your questions. That's what we're there for. If you're not asking questions, we look even worse than when you are asking questions. At least when you're asking questions, we have stuff to talk about. So please join in and tune in and join us on Sundays.
Yeah. Also, I'll say this again. Hey, if you guys have some of your own Monday overreactions, like send it to us. We'll talk about it on the Monday podcast. And
definitely give you a shout out and everything.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yep. Thank you a lot.